Hello and welcome to a new video. In today's video we have a short, it's mostly not going to be a short video because there's so many changes, but we want to take a brief look here basically at all of the changes that are interesting for PvP. It's going to be just an overview. There's going to be more in-depth video for the next 2 weeks. You definitely subscribe to the channel if you haven't seen my content yet for it. I always kind of prepare everyone quite well, I think, for the new season. But yeah, today we want to take a look at a lot of very interesting updates here today and see on where they kind of go. Of course, we're going to sim it currently against the current meta because we don't know exactly on how the new meta is going to be. There's still a lot of values that we don't know exactly on where they're going to end up because every energy value has never really been shown directly in the move updates. But yeah, if you haven't seen my video earlier on where I talked about all of the different updates, check that one out. It's going to be linked at the end card as well. Check that one out before because, again, I'm not going to showcase all of the changes here again. I'm just going to talk about the changes. Check out the other video if you want to see all the changes generally. But here what you see currently on the screen is just a brief calculation of the current meta with the current moveset changes that I put in. Again, the energy values are not always guaranteed. For example, for the move for Water Pulse on the number 4 spot of Arachnoid, I put down 45 energy. It's currently 55 energy as gonna get an energy decrease. Could be also 50, but it seems like that Niantic wants to have a lot of new moves that are 80 damage and 45 energy by the looks of things. That's why I put it in this kind of category. Could be different. I don't know. Nobody knows currently, other than maybe Niantic. Hopefully they know. But yeah, basically that's kind of what we gotta talk about. Ember, for example, has 4 damage from 7 damage that it had currently, and an energy increase could be 8. I put a 9 because 9 would make it a clone of something like a Thunder Shock, which makes the most amount of sense. And so that's kind of on where things are going to be currently here. That's why not everything is currently set in stone. But this kind of a small look into the current meta. We see buffs, for example, to Drago, which doesn't get the direct nerf. Breaking Type needs now a little bit more energy. I put down to 40, could be 45. I think 45 would be more accurate for this one, by the way. I do think that Breaking Type is not going to end up at 40 now. Thinking about it, I think it's going to be 45 energy for it. But yeah, what we see here a lot of times is especially changes to Dragon type Pokemon, where Pokemon that have Dragon Breath and Dragon Tail gonna get buffed as long as they don't have Dragon Claw as their main move, which you see as well with Goodra and Diswilers. But yeah, this is just a meta overview. I actually don't really want to talk that much about it, but there's so much happening that I'm kind of too excited to not do it. And so we're gonna just take a look here now at a few of the different kind of matchups. Here, this is actually still the old meta. I want to check some how things change generally. Here we're gonna take a look at Charizard, Ember, and also Dragon Breath got buffed, so I was taking a look at both of them. Got access to Air Cutter as well. Air Cutter is going to be a 35 energy flying type move, which is going to give you a stab option compared to Dragon Claw. Dragon Claw again got changed, got not nerfed directly, got more save from 35 energy to 45 energy with 80 damage, so it does have a very good damage increase, but also a very high energy increase, which makes Air Cutter an interesting choice on the Charizard, which is going to give it still that cheap move. We have Ember being buffed on the Ninetales, plus a Weatherball being buffed, and as you guys see here, especially Charizard with Dragon Breath seems to be one of the craziest Pokemon that you can run currently in the meta, and I do think that this is going to be the way to go forward with this Pokemon. Dragon Breath, Charizard, Shadow with Air Cutter and the Blast Burn is going to be ridiculous for the upcoming meta. Ninetales looks actually a little bit worse than I expected. I think that it's going to look actually a little bit better in the future though. There are different kind of moves that you can run as well, like Solar Beam for example on this Pokemon as well, which would make a lot of sense for it because it's going to allow you to hit the Water type Pokemon for super effective damage and one-shot them, and you also have more energy generation now. For this Pokemon here, for those Pokemon here with the fast move of Peck, I made Peck a Shadow Claw clone, which makes the most amount of sense currently. The energy, again, we don't know exactly. It has 6 damage currently as far as I know, and I put up to 8 energy from 5 energy currently, which is the only thing that really makes sense for it. Anything else doesn't make sense in my opinion. And so we're gonna take a look here at Xatu, which also got access to Psyshock, but does miss kind of another move that makes sense on it. So yeah, you can run Aerial Ace, but it's kind of bad. And then Omniswing is bad, and Future Sight is bad. So I would actually return on it. Dodrio got access to Peck as well, plus Trailblaze, which is going to give it great coverage. There's also the option to go for Brave Bird, though, to one-shot opponents. Drill Peck got buffed as well. 40 energy, 70 damage now, which is really, really good for it. Peck on Altaria makes a lot of sense, but also Dragon Breath got buffed. it really depends on what we want to see here on it. Dragon Pulse got buffed as well, taking now less energy. I have it currently at 90 damage with 50 energy, which makes the most amount of sense in my opinion for this move. And so this is going to be what we have here. Fearow has the double drill move with the drill run and the drill peck, plus peck being buffed. Fearow is going to be one of the Pokemon that you definitely want to build for next season, which is fine to say. We have Murkrow, which got buffed with Peck and Drill Peck, which both going to be very interesting for it, as well as Foul Play here as a different kind of move. I do actually think the Dark Pulse most likely is better on it, by the way, so I'm going to put this down now for this one. And then we have Peck Togekiss, which has a lot of different cool moves here now as well. Aerodace got nerfed, but you have the Aura Sphere, which I do think is going to be 80 damage and 45 energy, which we were talking about before. There are a lot of moves that kind of get onto this tier now. And we have here Dazzling Gleam. We're going to have a lot of different options for this Pokemon here. And let's take a look at how this is going to perform now with the decent pack update. And as you guys see, all this Pokemon are going to be meta now. All of those Pokemon going to have play. Xatu is like the one that you mostly don't want to build. Like Dodrio you want to build. You have the grass type coverage on this Pokemon, which is cool. Fearow, in my opinion, is the Pokemon that you want to build actually first here because of drill run coverage being so strong for flying type Pokemon. If you think about it, flying type Pokemon, like flying type moves, getting resisted by what? The electric typing, drill run super effective. Rock typing, drill run super effective. Steel typing, drill run is super effective. So you have coverage basically for it, which makes Fearow a Pokemon that barely can get resisted, other than your name is something like the Corviknight, which means Corviknight is most likely going to have a lot of play as well. But Fearow is going to be, funnily enough, an insane Pokemon for the next season. Murkrow looks really good as well here with Dark Pulse. Very cool Pokemon. Again, in the meta that's going to go up against is going to change. It's not going to be as overpowered here right now. The meta is going to shift towards Pokemon that beat those Pokemon here. Fearow also doesn't get out by Bastion, which is going to be a very important thing for the upcoming season because I think that Bastion is going to be one of the hidden Pokemon that are going to be better. I need to be kind of faster here. We have next up the Flame Wheel options as well as Incinerate and Ember comparison here with like Magcargo here with Incinerate still and Ember there just to see which one is better. We have Torkoal here with Ember, Flame Wheel got buffed quite significantly, and then we're going to have here Castform, which has a buff on Ember and Weatherball, which is kind of crazy, as well as you have Fletchinder here, which has access to Ember and Fly and Flame Charge, and what we're going to see as well already, Ember is actually going to be better than Incinerate now. Ember is going to be the better fast move to go for, and we see it here on Magcargo where we're going to be able to win matchups here against, for example, Credilli or the Araquanid, which we wouldn't be able to win otherwise. But we also see that Castform looks absolutely fantastic now with the recent change there, which was most likely going to be a better version than the Ninetales. So Castform Sunny might be a Pokemon that should be on your list. Fletchinder might be also kind of cool though, with access to Fly, Flame Charge, and now Ember being the better move compared to the Incinerate Talonflame. And this is the thing as well, Talonflame itself has access to Incinerate, but also has access to Peck, which could be an interesting choice there as well. If you want to go for Peck on this Pokemon, you might be able to go for something like Peck, Flame Charge. I'm not too sure if this is going to be better for it. I think Incinerate is going to be better, but maybe Fletchinder might be even better now than Talonflame, which is kind of interesting. I don't think it is actually going to be the case, by the way, but could be an interesting Pokemon to still run. More Ember, Turtonator. Turtonator is going to be such a difficult Pokemon to predict because we don't know the energy of Dragon Pulse or the Dragon Claw yet. We know that this Pokemon gets Brutal Swing though, which is definitely going to be something you want on this Pokemon. Being Dragon and Fire is going to be absolutely insane for any kind of meta. It's super good. And you have a lot of different kind of movesets here. You can read it anyway. Like Overheat, Brutal Swing makes sense. Dragon Claw, Brutal Swing makes sense. Dragon Pulse, Brutal Swing makes sense depending on how like the energy level is. Like I think Dragon Pulse could be actually the better move to go for if it's 90 damage and 50 energy, because then you can go for 5 Incinerates and get to it. Or you can go for Ember and Dragon Claw, where if it's 45 energy for the Dragon Claw, with Ember being 9 energy per turn, you need only 5 Embers to get to a Dragon Claw then, which is super fast still. Which would make a lot of sense as well. I could even see a play of Ember, Dragon Claw, and Overheat. We have to see for Turtonator, but Turtonator definitely a Pokemon you want to have for next season. Even Rapidash here would be kind of a cool Pokemon to have. Oh, actually, the Shadow does... No, the Shadow does... No, it doesn't exist, actually, for the Rapidash. So sorry about that. But yeah, Breaks got access to also Ember buff, but also has Psyshock, Flame Charge as like a really good moveset. And even like Ember, yeah, Superpower Flareon looks like a funny Pokemon to use. All the Ember Pokemon going to be very, very strong. But as you guys see here, Turner looks ridiculous. Like if you're gonna take a look here at the Overheat Brutal Swing moveset with Ember, looks ridiculous, but all of the movesets are looking ridiculous. So this Pokemon is definitely something you want to build. We have Raichu Drago here with all the Dragon Breath users. I hope you enjoy the longer video though, because there's still a lot to come. There's so many move updates. And again, I'm going to make a tier list still. There's going to be a lot to come still. But as you guys see here, Raichu Drago, interesting Pokemon. We're going to have here the Goodra. We're going to have the Giratina, which a lot of people were complaining about, got nerfed. The Shadow Claw moveset got nerfed. The Dragon Breath moveset actually got buffed in my opinion, because the pacing of Dragon Breath to Dragon Claw is still the exact same as before. It just the Dragon Claw does more damage now, Dragon Breath a little bit less, but it's kind of not really a big change. Still, I do think that Giratina got a bit of a nerf, but that's alright. It's a difficult Pokemon to obtain. I got 2 now, so kind of sad about it, but it's alright. Gyarados got a ginormous buff in my opinion, having better pacing now with Dragon Breath generating 4 energy, allowing you to go for an Aqua Tail after just 9 fast moves, which is ridiculous. And then you have great coverage with Crunch still. You have the option to go for Outrage. Like, even Dragon Pulse makes no sense, which is a legacy move on this Pokemon. It's crazy. Dragonite, I think it's going to be generally a nerf on this Pokemon. The cheapest move to get to is like Superpower and Thunder Punch. I could see maybe a non-Dragon type move on this Pokemon, but I think it's kind of actually got a nerf. And Swilus got just buffed with Dragon Breath, getting buffed kind of in terms of energy generation, which is generally better than the damage output that it had before. And Body Slam getting buffed now as well. So yeah, as I can see here, Swile is going to be very, very interesting as a Pokemon. Regidrago is scary. I do think, again, that Breaking Type is most likely going to go up to 45 energy. I don't think it's going to be 40. I currently have it in here as 40, just because I thought in the beginning that makes the most sense, because you're just going to get like an energy nerf, but I think it's actually going to be to 45. Next up, we're going to have your Kingdra, which got Dragon Breath as well, but also got access to your Swift. We have Dragon Breath Drampa and Dragonair. Dragonair was one that a lot of people want to see. To be fair, they all look kind of cool, but they're all not looking really that overpowered. I think that something like the Goodra is going to be better, the Gyarados is going to be better, the Spider is going to be better. Now we're going to have a theme here of the Weatherball users, where we will see that Auroris, Hippowdon, Ninetales here, Abomasnow we're going to have twice, by the way. That's going to be another episode with like another thing later with Abomasnow as well. The Castform Rainy as well as the Pelipper. And as you can see here, Castform Rainy looks the best. Ninetales looks really good. Abomasnow, again, keep in mind there's going to be another thing later for this Pokemon because there's another move that got buffed on it. But they look all really, really good. Other than Hippowdon, I don't know if Hippowdon is going to be that great. I think it's not going to be a season of ground types next season. I think it's going to be a season of flying types, where, for example, the Weatherball Ice makes the most amount of sense though. Charm is not going to go anywhere. I compared it. Yeah, that's a big tease, so then spoil for later. Yeah, Charm is going to be not going to go anywhere. It's still going to be very good. Got -2 damage, so it does less damage, but it also got +1, I assume, energy generation. If it's more than +1, it would just be a ginormous buff on this move itself, but I think it's just +1 energy. It's gonna be just kind of similar. Like, you don't do the same amount of damage, but you still do a lot of damage. And then again, you just generate energy faster, which allows you to have a little bit more shield pressure with Swift, Icy Wind, or the Psychic Fangs Body Slam there. Body Slam got buffed on the Dexman as well. They're all kind of going to still be the same as before. We have kind of here the Mythical selection now, where we have Confusion being buffed. I gave Confusion +2 energy. Could be +4 energy on this as well. Could well be the case, then they would be even stronger. Seed Bomb got buffed as well. I put it down to 35 energy with 55 damage. We don't exactly know, again, the energy cost of this move. Could be 40 energy. Yeah, and we know it's gonna get decreased there. They all kind of got Aura Sphere as well. Victini got Psyshock, which is kind of cool. They're all not going to be too crazy. Celebi could be actually really good though if Seed Bomb is like that cheap, and even if Aura Sphere, maybe even if like Confusion gets buffed even further, Celebi could be an interesting Pokemon to run just for fun. They're never gonna be actually top meta anyway. Here we have like the Metal Sound fraction, but also Dragon Tail. Dragon Tail I put down to 9 damage, which we know is definitely going to be the case, and 12 energy, which we don't know if it's going to be the case, but it's basically just a same version of Dragon Breath. I could see it being 13 energy, by the way, just to make Dragon Tail a little bit better for the energy duration that you need for it. But already with this, what we have here, which is like more the lower end version of it, Como looks absolutely busted. Like, literally looks like a really, really strong Pokemon with a moveset of Upper Hand, which is going to be reached after, I think, 4 of them. 4 fast moves of them. And then Clanging Scales to just nuke opponents away. Upper Hand is going to be a huge buff on this Pokemon. Upper Hand is definitely what you want to go for. But also Metal Sound Empoleon is going to be a very good Pokemon to run for the next season. Next up, we're going to have here Raichu. Raichu, in general, a lot of Volt Switch users. We have Raichu as well, where I think that Thunder Shock is a little bit better to get to the Auras here a bit better. Volt Switch gets +2 damage. Pachirisu going to be cool with Hyper Fang, having some neutral coverage against ground-type Pokemon now, or like grass-type Pokemon, which is going to be very good for this Pokemon. We're going to have, while Hyper Fang isn't the best move, it's still kind of cool to have that as coverage. We have Alone Raichu here with access to Psyshock and the buffed Volt Switch. As you can see here, they're all going to be fine. They're all not going to be too overpowered, but I actually think that Fortress with Volt Switch might become a bit more common now, doing a little bit more damage, and it was actually already a good choice for the last season. Here we're going to have some Rock-type coverage at least. We have Tyron with the change of Dragon Claw. Again, I do think that the pacing is going to stay the same, but now having access to Rock Tomb is going to be really cool for it. We have Crustle, where Rock Slide got buffed, but also Rock Wrecker got added. Rock Wrecker is such a strong move that I think it's going to be the better one. And Hakomo having again a Dragon Tail buff, Dragon Claw nerf, and the Rock Tomb change on it. What we'll see here is as well that Hakomo is going to allow be basically top meta for this one for sure. We have Crustle here as well, which is going to be way better with the Rock Wrecker especially. Those Pokemon are going to be super good. Like those Pokemon are going to be absolutely fantastic. And so I do think that this is going to be an interesting one here for sure, as we will see that all of those Pokemon are going to have a little bit of play. I do think that, again, the Hakomo is going to be the best one of them all, but Crustle definitely going to be a Pokemon you have to think about. What you have to think about as well is going to be the Sloking here. Having access to Acid already from last season, which got buffed ginormously. Also Confusion, which got buffed, and Hex, which got buffed. We also have Psyshock and Shadow Ball. Psyshock got added now. We have a lot of different kind of coverage moves. There could be a Sludge Wave variant as well, but Shadow Ball has cool coverage on it. All of those Pokemon are going to be cool. Brutal Swing got added on the Incineroar, adding no new fast moves. Torterra got Mud Slap, which I predicted as well. They're all kind of going to be cool. Mud Slap on the Nidoqueen, we can compare it here as well. And as you're going to see, Mud Slap Nidoqueen going to be a little bit better. Torterra going to be kind of cool. I think that Incineroar are going to have some play next season. I do think that this Pokemon has some potential. But I do think that it's a lot about Dragon-type Pokemon next season, where I do think that those elemental Pokemon going to struggle quite a bit. Sloking actually looks a little bit worse than expected. Nidoqueen looks really cool in the 2 shields here though. But yeah, this is going to be it for those. Gyroball is going to get a decrease of energy that you need for it. So it's currently at 60 energy with 80 damage. I could see it going down to 45 again, because everything kind of goes to 80 and 45 with the recent moveset change. And I think that might make the most amount of sense also for Aegislash, which currently sees 0 usage, which is kind of interesting, which I don't think that Niantic really wants to have, because they put a lot of effort into this Pokemon. And so Gyroball change would help this Pokemon out quite massively, so that would be kind of cool for this thing, just to get to move a little bit faster now, and have a move that you can store as well twice from. So I could see it either going to 50 or 45 energy. I think 45 makes the most sense for this one. Aegislash would benefit the most. We have a Momostow here next as well with Leafage. Leafage is going to be super cool, being now a Shadow Claw clone guaranteed or stronger, but I don't think it's going to be stronger because it already looks ridiculous. With Meowscarada using Night Slash as well as Frenzy Plant is going to be wild. Decidueye having Spirit Shackle in the Frenzy Plant is going to be wild. Dartrix having Seed Bomb, very cheap, and Brave Bird, which is going to be wild. And then the Momostow with the Ice type coverage that you have is going to be ridiculously cool. Like, it's going to be such a cool Pokemon to run. A Momostow is going to be top meta, and I do think that the moveset that you most want to run actually on this Pokemon might be Leafage, Weatherball, and Icy Wind, because I don't think that grass types are generally that great, but I think that Ice type coverage is going to be ridiculously overpowered next season. But again, if you want to have some coverage against Lapras, which is not going to go anywhere, you might want to just still go for the Energy Ball just to kind of cover this Pokemon here. I do think that you're going to be a little bit better. We're going to have multiple videos anyway about like top Pokemon that didn't get a buff, but most are going to be better, so definitely stay tuned for that. I also can't wait for PvPoke to update themselves so I can check out the new predicted top meta as well. That's most going to take a while. Body Slam got buffed. We're nearly done here, by the way. Thanks for watching, by the way, till 20 minutes nearly here at this point. But we have Gaston here with Body Slam getting more damage. Celio, we have the Licky, we have the Licky Tongue, where I recently just changed Body Slam to Rep. Now we can change it back again because Body Slam is clearly better now. Laron, which is going to have access to Rock Tomb, Battle Sound, and Body Slam, really getting buffed recently. I guess Body Slam got nerfed before. Now it's just a tiny bit worse than it was before. We have Vigoroth getting buffed, where a lot of people are like, oh, Vigoroth finally back. No, Vigoroth isn't back. Vigoroth is still bad because the fast move is bad. Lickitung is kind of back. Lickitung is definitely a very interesting shout for the current meta, being very neutral. Laron, actually, I think is going to be a very cool Pokemon. I do think that Gastron and Celio are actually going to be top meta though next season. Especially Celio, I could see this Pokemon kind of rising up a little bit more, being a very interesting water and ice type Pokemon, currently just a little bit worse than the Lapras. The Body Slam buff could definitely help it out a tiny bit. Not too sure though if it can surpass Lapras. I assume that's not going to be the case. But again, ice type coverage, especially with a fast move, is going to be very good next season. Here we have some Seed Bomb users. Again, I've put Seed Bomb to 55 damage, 35 energy. It could be 40 energy as well. There would be, I think, a Discharge clone, which is not a good move at all, but still would help it out a tiny bit, I think. If it is what I expect, it would be very strong on those Pokemon, so I could definitely see it being 40 energy. Again, we don't know the energy level on any of the moves yet because they never get shown. But here again, this would be, if it would be the best kind of way possible, which is 35 energy, 55 damage, which we have with moves like Cross Chop already. A lot of other moves as well that have that kind of stuff. I think like Double Iron Bash has 55 damage and 35 energy. We have moves that are way stronger, like the Leaf Blade, which is 70 damage for 35 energy, which is also a grass type move. So I don't really see the point of leaving it at 40 energy with 55 damage there. So I think this is kind of the way to go. Whimsicott would be the best Pokemon for sure with it. Toadskull would definitely benefit quite a bit, and Trevenant would be back in the meta, which I think is kind of a cool thing, especially because I do assume that the meta is going to shift completely towards flying type Pokemon a little bit more, which means that those Pokemon would get kind of nerfed directly anyway with a pack change. And for the last thing here, I kind of want to have a brief look into the Master League because we're already 22 minutes in. There's so many changes. There's so many changes that I missed as well. Again, I will make videos towards everything again throughout the next 2 weeks. Definitely stay tuned for this. There's going to be a video every single day for the next 2 weeks for the new season. Top teams, Pokemon to build, different kind of leagues. We take a look at everything. Trust me, stay tuned for everything here. Definitely subscribe to the channel. There's going to be a lot coming. I'm very excited for the next season. We didn't even talk yet about the Switch timer as well, which is going to get changed to 45 seconds, which is going to be a huge change as well. But anyway, we're going to take a look here now at the Master League. We have Dragon Tail getting changed, Dragon Breath getting changed. We have Packing getting added. We have Breaking Swipe. I put it still at 40 here, but I kind of want to just take a look at it. We have Cure Might with a Dragon Breath, which is going to be such a buff for this Pokemon. The Master League is going to shift completely. If we want to take a look real quick at the Master League meta itself, though, there's a lot of Pokemon that are going to be impacted. Palkia are going to be impacted. We have the Kyurem Black, which is going to be impacted with Dragon Tail being now a little bit different, generating more energy, but being also a step option, which is most likely better than Shadow Claw. We have Palkia, which is going to get impacted. We have Palkia, especially with the Alcatel being reached now super fast, going to be very, very cool. Especially with also Fire Blast being reached really fast, is going to be really, really cool. We have a lot of kind of changes here. Like, it's going to be quite a while for this meta. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be a little bit different here now. And that's going to be exciting because the Master League meta hasn't really changed at all recently. And now it's going to be the time where it's actually going to change, where Dragon Breath users like the Zekrom are going to rise up because they're going to be able to get to Wild Charge way faster now. Like, really, really fast now, which is going to be really cool. Pokemon that use Dragon Claw, of course, like Dragonite, most likely going to drop a little bit though. It's not really ideal to have Dragon Claw on it. We have other Pokemon here as well. Again, we're going to have the pack version of the Togekiss, but even Charm could still have some play. We have Gyarados here, which would have a lot of potential as well. But generally, let's take a look here at those Pokemon that we have here already. And what we're going to see is that Palkia are just going to be getting a ginormous buff with a recent change as well. I think that Dragon Breath getting the energy buff there as well is going to help you out to get even to like the spatial rent to just pressure more shields, to have awkward tail there. Dialga getting the buff there, going to allow you to get to the Iron Head faster, which allows you to pressure fairy type Pokemon faster, which is going to be very, very cool. Shadow Salaman's going to be alright. I think it's going to be better in like the non-legendary meta of the Master League, when this is going to be allowed. I think Salaman's going to be one of the best Pokemon to run, as long as you don't encounter a fairy type Pokemon. Togekiss is going to be cool with Peck, but I think that Charm is most likely going to be still the ideal play on this Pokemon. Still, Aura Sphere going to give you some great coverage against Pokemon, like, for example, the Zamazenta, which is going to be cool, and as you're going to see as well, Charm still has some potential. Rapira would be very, very strong if you still give the Breaking Swipe the change that I gave it. I still think it's going to go up to 45 energy on Breaking Swipe, which then most likely would change the moveset rather to Superpower, just for pacing reasons on this Pokemon. And Kyurem White is going to get a huge change here, a huge buff, because especially with the coverage that you have with Ice and Fire, you're going to really want to have the Dragon Breath here on it, which allows you to just generate energy so much faster, gets you to a Fusion Flare after just 12 fast moves, which is really, really cool, and gives you great coverage against the current meta, as you have two Pokemon on the top who are weak to fire type moves. You have Palkia, which is going to be not really enjoying the Fusion Flare damage there either, and so yeah, it's not Fusion Flare, it's called... No, it's Ice Burn, what I mean. Ice Burn damage there either. Fusion Flare doing double resist, so that was like great. Yeah, mistake there. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. There are a lot of changes coming, a lot of very exciting changes coming. The meta is going to shift completely in every single league. And again, there's going to be a lot on this channel here. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you then. Bye-bye.